This week we're taking another trip down memory lane and talking about our favourite games from the 2010s. We're going year by year from 2010 to 2019 and discussing the best games released throughout on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, my good friend Hunter. Hey Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I'm glad one of us is, because I am roughly 11 minutes away from a midlife crisis, Hunter. That's what we're at. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately,
yes, 28.
Yeah, I turned 28 in 11 minutes time.
Midlife.
You are literally, I think this is cool, right? Because we have recorded an episode of the podcast on my birthday before. It was actually the first year we did it. We recorded an episode on my birthday. But this is the first time where you're going to watch me, literally, according to the Youth Hunter, I'm going to wither and die in the next 11 minutes. So get ready. I will turn grey. I will just go all wrinkly and shrivel up in exactly 10 and a half minutes. And I can't wait. It's going to be a fun time, dude. It's going to be a fun time. It just, I don't know. I don't like getting old, mate. I don't like it. Not because I feel old, because I don't, but it just makes me go, you know what? It's like a bit of a reality check, right? It's like, yeah, 28. I'm like, that doesn't feel like a real number, you know? I feel like at 23, you stop thinking it's real. And then you realize that you've actually got evidence of at least 6 of those years on podcast form every single week. Can't hide these ones, dude. We've got the receipts. But hey, I'm happy to spend the first hour of my 28th year on this planet with you, good friend, to discuss the 2010s. Everyone's favorite year. But every year, it's a decade. Even that. Wow.
Yeah.
The brain's already starting. It's starting to go, Hunter. It's starting to go. The age is kicking in.
Oh, it's on set really early.
It's going. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in. We're recording this podcast a little bit earlier this week, just because it's my birthday this weekend. We're gonna struggle to get an episode in, so we're just doing it a bit early. We're gonna do a little topic episode for you. So yeah. If it sounds good to you, we're going to talk about our favorite games from the 2010s. That is, both myself and Hunter have picked a game from the year 2010 all the way to 2019, and we're going to give them to you all in one go, just like that. It's going to be a fun time, hopefully. And then, yeah, join us, next week. We've got more games next week. We'll talk about a lot of stuff next week, I feel like. So if you're looking for new game stuff, it'll all be here next week. One thing I can say, Hunter, review's not out yet. Hopefully it'll be out this week. Dispatch is fantastic. Go and play it. Don't wait for the review. Go play Dispatch, like genuinely game of the year material right there. They stuck the landing on one of these narrative video games, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the rare few that actually gets better as it goes. So go check that out if you haven't, but look forward to a review. Hopefully some point this week. Fingers crossed. I've got the footage. I just need to write the script. So yeah. Speaking of, we've obviously got plenty of other reviews on the website. Right now, you can go to hotgamersonly.com or youtube.com/hotgamersonly. You can check out my review of this wonderful little game called Yooka-Laylee. You can go and check out Hunter's reviews of Hades 2 and Silent Hill F. And if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, you can go and check out Kyle's article on his favorite moments in the entire franchise. You can do that if you want. They're all on hotgamersonly.com. And we really appreciate you going checking them out. We also appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, following on your favorite podcast service. We really do appreciate it. But, it's going to be a fun one, I think. Let us start the episode. Hunter.
Yeah.
I'll let you be the decider here. 2010s. How do you feel about the 2010s as a decade in gaming? I feel like that's what. Let's start with that.
Oh, it's really weird as far as like It feels like that's where this unknown, like I can't pinpoint where the split is because it doesn't feel like it's exactly at like the generation divide, but it feels like there was a divergence point that led us to all the problems we have now is somewhere in here, and
It's
I don't
my
know where
my gut
exactly.
is 2015. That's my gut. Is
Mm.
2015 is the transition period, and then 2016 is the shift. I don't know why. In my head, it's The Witcher 3. Fantastic game, brilliant game. But that seems to be the shift because so many franchises copied that game. It's not even like it's crazy to think about how many games The Witcher 3 inspired. Um,
Yeah, no kidding.
but I think it's around there. But yeah, it's kind of where the old, the old style, the seventh generation style of games, of open worlds, of RPGs, kind of shifted into its modern iteration that we have now had for over a decade and continues to thrive, I guess. That's a word for it. Stumble is another,
Exist
depending on
is
how you
another.
feel. Yeah, there's many words, but it's an interesting decade. I think some of the best games of all time were released during this decade. Um,
I agree.
I think a lot of games stumbled during this decade. But I think, I think it's pretty solid overall. Um, this is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, an opinion list. It is not a definitive list. We are not Metacritic.com. We are not OpenCritic. We are not going to just pick the game that had a 95 that year. Okay? So if that's what you're looking for, good news. There's plenty of AI slop TikToks that you can now watch that has probably already covered all of that for you. So, go rot your
Yeah.
brain if you feel like it. But if not, that's cool too. You can listen to this good old fashioned content for the old folks like we are now, where humans talk about video games. So come on in, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, we've got 6 minutes. I'm still young. 2010. Hunter, I'm going to pass it
What's
over
up?
to you first. What is your pick for your favorite game of 2010?
So the one I picked for 2010 here, I went with Bayonetta, the first one, as that is when it was released.
Good
You
pick.
know,
Moving on.
yeah.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? That would be very funny.
Yeah, just a
Shortest podcast
15-minute
episode of all time.
episode where
Dude, I
we
am not aging on
say
this.
our entries.
No, I am not aging on this podcast. Go, go, go. We've got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes. No, go for it. Bayonetta.
But no, Bayonetta at the time, brand new IP from Platinum Studios, Hideki Kamiya back in the hack and slash genre, director seat there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, very much. You knew that the team that made the first Devil May Cry was behind this when you watched the first cutscene because it makes itself very apparent.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing about Bayonetta, and I think the interesting thing about this list is my favorite game that I played in 2010 versus favorite games from the year 2010 is actually quite different because there are so many games in this
Yeah,
decade in particular that I played 5, 6, 7 years after they released. Bayonetta is one of them where I didn't play Bayonetta 1
same
until,
actually.
gosh, I bought the Wii U version, the dual pack that was when it came out with Bayonetta 2, but I don't even think I played it on Wii U. I think I ended up playing it on the Switch afterwards, so it might be 2018? It
I
was...
didn't play. I played it on the PS4 with its weird like double pack with Vanquish or
I
whatever, and
forgot
I
they
didn't do
did
that until
that.
after. Yeah, it's weird, right? I just have claim to a copy of Vanquish too that I've never played, but
Yeah, that's a weird
I
one.
didn't play Bayo 1 until after 2, but like, going back, it's insane to see for all of the, inspirations and, Devil May Cry, but you're a woman fighting angels instead of demons this time, kind of succinctly summarizing it. Bayo has, the Witch Time dodge was a game changer as far as like every other game that is in this genre copied it.
Yeah. It's a very influential game. I just think it's such an interesting, franchise and has such a weird history. Like you say, it spiraled off of the heels of Devil May Cry, which in of itself spiraled off of the hill off of like Resident Evil. It's like it's got a very weird lineage to it, and it
Video
continues.
games
You
are a
know, video.
weird game of telephone when you trace back the
It,
influences.
yeah, quite literally. Um,
Uh,
and yeah, I think it does feel like a pivotal kind of hack and slash game from the era. I think that you know I like Bayonetta 1 quite a bit. Bayonetta 2 is my favorite of the three. Um,
yeah,
but
for sure.
it's hard to deny that, the reason Bayonetta 2 is the best is just because it is a it treads in the same footsteps as Bayonetta 1. It's just a more refined version of it. Um,
Yeah, they had to get it out and work through it with the first one first, and for that, I still think it was pretty well done at the time.
100%. There's something about that game that it's very satisfying to play. You know, it's just like you say, the witch time mechanic, which has become a staple not just in hack and slash, but in a lot of video games.
Yeah, even action RPGs will rip it off now, just as
Yeah,
far as
hundred
slow
percent.
down.
But from that to the very addictive combos, the nature of it, to just the tongue in cheek humor of the dialogue and in general the story of it is it's mental. It is just
Yeah,
it's just a wild ride of a video game that I do appreciate.
it's it's one of those quintessential like hack and slash stories where engineer cool scenarios for your hopefully fun to watch protagonist do stuff, and you'd be surprised how often that games in the genre don't manage to do that.
100%. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think it's a rogue pick, and I like it. I don't think there are so many good games in 2010, and I feel like that is one
Yeah,
that sometimes slips under the radar a little bit, but it is. It's fantastic. If you haven't played the original Bayonetta, there's literally 6 million ways to play it. So if it's up your alley, if you're a fan of hack and slashes, I definitely would recommend you give it a shot.
it's like a must play if you're a fan of hack and slash games and haven't yet.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, I've just turned 28 about 5 seconds ago. And I don't think there's any better way to start a new year of my life than to beat the same drum that I've been beating for the past 15. You know what I mean? Red Dead Redemption is
Potentially
one
a
of the
dead
greatest
horse.
games of
Yep.
all time, dude. It's one of the greats. It is one of the best. It is. Listen, I love Red Dead 2. I think Red Dead 2's story is incredible. I think its world design is fantastic. But there is a part of my core that will always love John Marston's story. And, I think Red Dead 2, again, similar to Bayonetta 2, it's almost better in every single way to the original, but that original just had that spark where I still think it is one of Rockstar's best. I still think it is one of the best games Rockstar's ever made, which is
I would argue that the act of actually like playing and doing things on the controller in Red Dead 1 is more fun than it is in 2.
I can see that. It did add, Red Dead 2 did add like all your hunger and all of that
Yeah.
jazz. It kind of went a bit in the late
Which, for what it's going for, I can respect and all of that, but also the simplicity of the first game, I think, there are less things getting in the way of you
yeah,
enjoying yourself.
100%, 100%. I could have very easily for 2018 put Red Dead 2. If I'm honest with you, my favorite game from 2018 is Red Dead Redemption 2, but also I'm not going to have the same series multiple times on this list. And in terms of
Yeah.
like quintessential games that defined me, hello, go back and listen to that podcast. Wasn't that long ago. Off you pop. It was like 2 weeks ago. Um, it just is one of those games where it's like it redefined the way I thought about video games, how I thought about video game narratives, how I thought about video game worlds. In my stupid little 13-year-old brain, 12-year-old brain, whatever I was, um, 28 now. All I knew were, we talked about it in the last time we did this, the 2000s episode. You can go check that episode out as well. It's one of my favorites that we've done in recent memory. Talk about Assassin's Creed 2 and how I absolutely adored that world and adored that story. But open worlds to me were just tick box exercises where it was just, hey, here's 16 different icons on the screen. Go and pick up that feather. Go climb that viewpoint. Go and, attack that base. Whereas Red Dead, it was just like, hey, here's a couple of initials for these random characters that you will one day meet or you might know. Hey, look, there's something from Landon Ricketts. Oh, hey, there's Bonnie McFarlane, But the game just kind of let you go and figure it out for yourself, Hey, there's a wanted poster. You can find this person near Chuparosa. Okay, cool. Let me go on the map and figure it out and find where this person is. It just felt like a living, breathing world, which was very rare at the time because I feel like open world still very much felt gamey. Red Dead to me didn't. It felt like a living, breathing world, and I think that,
Yeah, everything that all the NPCs and what they were doing felt real natural to like what you think they would be doing rather than the
100%.
typical.
And it has some of the best writing in video games, and same is true for the sequel. I think this brilliant writing. Even Dan Houser is very much, of the opinion that his best work as a writer is in the Red Dead games, and I 100% agree. I think it's fantastic. Like I say, Hunter, we're all excited for GTA 6 when we play it in the year of our Lord 2029, but as soon as that game's out, I'll be banging the Red Dead 3 drum and be like, please, before I'm 40, please, before I'm 40.
Pretty please.
Please, goodness gracious. Can
Valve,
we...
go great with your little Steam Cube.
Yeah, the
Portal
Steam
3.
Cube 5. Yeah, the Steam Cube 5. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait, dude. I'm going to play it on the Steam Link 62. It's going to be brilliant. Can't wait. 2011.
All right. So, for this one, I'm going with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Boo! Dislikes at the ready, ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen. Get them ready.
Yeah, so Skyward Sword is one that I can just vividly remember. Like, I got it as a birthday present when it was like right at the start, beginning parts of 8th grade. And we didn't realize that, or I wasn't really expecting to get it, was the thing. I was expecting this to be one of those games that I had to digest over the internet and then hopefully get sometime later in life.
Mm.
And when I
As you
got
did,
it, yeah. We didn't at the time have a Wii Motion Plus remote because
I forgot the game needed that.
yeah, it's one of the only games that like required it because it's one of the only games that really justified it. But so I had to wait like an additional day or two for my parents to go retrieve that for me because like the only thing we used the Wii for at that point was Smash Brothers every now and then.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then when I finally got Skyward, or when I finally got to play it, I was hooked pretty quickly. I thought the story was intriguing for what they were, presenting to me. I thought that Girahim, the bad guy for this game, was really cool. Made it very enticing to move forward in the story and all that. I think that the motion controls didn't ever fight against me while I played it, so I got the good version, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't preventing me from enjoying the game, and there are a lot of dungeons that I thought were really well done in this game. When you get down to it, the Ancient Cistern is credited as by some people the only good thing this game did was make a water dungeon that was tolerable.
Weird is a small feat.
Yeah.
They are usually quite painful.
But yeah, and it was a really good one as well, along with the Sand Ship was another great one. Yeah, just all in all, it's one of those ones. Also, like around this time in my life, I was starting to hit like the jaded middle schooler, oh, it's not cool to like things attitude about stuff.
Yeah.
And this kind of broke me off of that. And I just let myself experience joy for the first time in a while again. And I'm always going to be grateful for that.
Totally. I don't have much history with Skyward Sword. If you've listened to the podcast before, you'll know that I am one of the 5 people on the planet that never owned a Wii. My parents I wasn't a Nintendo guy. I had the handhelds, but I never had the home consoles, and my parents, didn't really care for buying me a Nintendo Wii, I guess, when I never got to experience it. I did play a little bit of Skyward Sword HD on the Switch, and I liked it fine enough. It's just Zelda. There's something about 3D Zelda games, for the most part, that just I can play them for about 5 hours, and I get the gist of them, and I go, "Cool." And then there's just a part of my brain that just goes, "Okay, let's move on to something else." Um, I did really find the story quite engaging, though. That was the one thing where I was like, "Oh, I kinda like the version of these characters. This is interesting." And,
Yeah.
hopefully one day when I have more free time, which who knows if that's ever gonna happen again, but, I would like to go back and try some more of these Zelda games and give them a fair shake. But I think that, it's one of those interesting games because it's 2011. It's just one of those interesting games that, whole storm on the internet about Skyward Sword. There was plenty of hate towards this game on the internet and online.
And because the next one was Breath of the Wild, it never got like the reevaluation that the previous Zelda game gets. Because like the years that Twilight Princess was new, Twilight Princess got a lot of heat,
Yeah, yeah.
and then suddenly it was a bunch of people's favorite game after Skyward Sword, and that just didn't happen with this one.
Yeah. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, it seems like every Zelda game now gets reevaluated, like with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where everyone's like, "Is it actually garbage?" And I sit there and I
Yeah.
go, "No, why are we doing this? Seems a bit weird." But yeah, I think that's a true pick to you, so I can't deny it.
Certainly, yeah.
I saw that coming from a mile away, ladies and gentlemen. Um, let's give little Todd his credit, dude. Let's give little Todd his credit. 11, 11, 11, dude. The Elder Scrolls
Oh,
V,
Futurada.
Skyrim, dude. A game so nice that during the 2010s it was
Skyrim Sword.
re-released 17 times. Like, let's go,
Oh,
baby.
no kidding.
Um, it doesn't
You could
matter.
put it down as your game for each year following this
Ladies
too.
and gentlemen, it doesn't matter whether you played the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Complete Edition or the Legend of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Those
The Elder
Legend of
Scrolls,
Zelda Skyrim
yeah, yeah.
Sword.
The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim PS4, the next gen edition, or the 10th anniversary edition of that version, or the Switch version, or the fridge version, or whatever version you played of Skyrim. I think we like to meme a lot as a collective, as a community, about the numerous releases of Skyrim and just how, prevalent it has been over the past 14 years, which we can now safely say, Hunter, we can now safely say, ladies and gentlemen, that Skyrim has been around for half of my life, which is a scary, scary thought. I'm just going to keep doing this to myself. I'm just going to keep saying scary sentences like Skyrim is half of my life old, and that we'll just leave it at that. But there's a reason for it, There's a reason why Skyrim is so prevalent and has managed to stand the test of time. And the reason is just because Skyrim's a very good RPG. It's just, as someone who's not an RPG guy, I didn't grow up with RPGs. The only RPG I ever played as a child was Pokemon. That was it. And as we all know, that's baby's first RPG. So to be given a Western RPG like Skyrim, and I bought this game in like 2013, and it was pre-owned, right? I did not play it in 2011. But I played it on 360 in like 2013. And I just was blown away by it. It's just a living world. Bethesda games are magic because the main quest is garbage and it forces you to go and make your own fun. And I think that is genuinely the charm of these video games. Yeah, the main story is a bit lackluster, but the stories that you can tell, the fact that people just have dozens of saves where they make their own characters and they go and, explore the world of Skyrim, I just think is brilliant. I just think as a universe, as a kind of fantasy universe, I don't think you get much better in gaming than you do the world of Elder Scrolls, the world of Tamriel. I just don't think you do. And the fact that, in the span of less than a decade, you got Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. All three, you can argue to be extremely, genre-defining entries in, like, the RPG genre. To get all three of them back to back to back, it's just
generational run.
Genuinely a generational run. And they made, 2 Fallout games that were incredible as well in that same time span. So it's like, fair play to them. I think Skyrim is incredible. I do adore Skyrim. Have we had enough Skyrim in, like I say, half of my life? Yes. But also, I think, it's a victory lap. It's one of those rare victory laps where every time I'm like, kind of deserved, because Skyrim's a good game, Yeah, is Todd going to make you buy it for the 17th time? Yeah, he is. But also, do you know it's a good game?
Switch 2
Yeah.
is out. It's coming.
There's a reason that you buy it again, though, because it is good, and it's a lot of fun. I think I do. I think it's, a lot of people will argue what is, the generation-defining Western RPG of the 2010s. And I think there are plenty of arguments. I think right up there is Skyrim. I do genuinely think it's fantastic. I can't wait to play Elder Scrolls 6 in 2072. It's going to be a great
Production is still early, according to Todd.
Yeah, well, Todd doesn't know anything, I don't think. I think Todd is still working on Starfield. We'll see.
I don't think work ever stopped on Starfield.
It's never going to stop, dude. 6 expansions minimum. Anyway, moving on. 2012, dude. 2012 is an interesting year because we were talking about this before the podcast, wasn't it? Bit of a hard one. 2012.
Yeah. 2012 didn't have a lot for me, I don't think.
Same.
Looking back on it, I was sitting there looking at the number of releases, and I was like, yeah. It's a good thing I had a lot of, backlogged things to play once I got my PlayStation 3, like, that was mine to play when I got that at the end of the year, because there was nothing new that was really there for me.
Dude, when I sit
even
there,
my
yeah.
entry here is kind of cheating, because the version I played was an updated one the next year, but it's the Lone Survivor, the indie horror game. I played the director's cut, which he didn't make until the following year, but the core game is still the same. It's just a ending or two that gets added on. So I'm gonna give myself this leeway here.
I'm not unacceptable. Come up with a different answer.
Asura's Wrath, then, I guess.
No. This podcast is already long enough, and we're only on 2012, so I will allow this. It's fine by me.
So yeah, the Lone Survivor is like an instance of being one of the first like PS Plus games that I nabbed with, at the time, my older brother's account, and made benefit of that subscription there. And it was also like the game that got me back into horror games after taking a break from them for a while, because the industry at large dumped them for a minute.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really solid 2D. Manage your resources, sneak around your monsters kind of affair there. The way you play affects your endings, all that kind of thing. It was just really solid, well made.
Yeah, it's we didn't really get to touch on it the last time round, but it's like there are so many like early indie games that came around this point in time. This is the era of like Xbox Live Arcade and the Wii Shop and the early dabblings of the PSN store starting to go to indies. And yeah, I think it was such a cool time for games where you did just have a bunch of random, just little mini games shine. And I think this is one of them. And I think, it's interesting because I also picked an indie game for 2012.
Classic.
Yeah. Can you guess which one?
Was that Thomas Was Alone?
Ding, ding, ding. Thomas Was Alone.
Aha!
I think it's just, honestly, like, I think, what is an indie game in 2025 and what is an indie game in 2012? Two completely different beasts. In some cases, indie games now are like, closer to AAA games in 2012, really, in retrospect.
Yeah. In a
w-
lot of ways,
in
yeah.
a lot of ways. I'm not gonna lie to you, Hunter. There is a small part of me, and there are still plenty of games. If you go looking for games like Thomas Was Alone, there are still games like Thomas Was Alone that you can find out there, and they're doing pretty, damn great. But Thomas Was Alone, I can pretty safely say, I think was the first indie game I ever played. And there is something about Mike Biffle's writing, and there's something about the narration by Danny Wallace that has still stuck. It stays with me. It has stayed with me since I played it in 2012, and it has, that game is a game about moving some squares into square-shaped holes and a bit of platforming in between, and just a score, a tone, and a narration can just do so damn much for video games. It is one of those first video games where I genuinely think I sat there and I was like, oh, video games can be art. Like, it can be something more. It doesn't have to be shooting somebody or shooting hundreds of somebodies at a time. It can just be a
Yeah.
game about squares and loss, and it's just I love Thomas Was Alone. It is genuine. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's fantastic. I think it's interesting because, hey, I like Mike Biffle. I like quite a few of his games that he's made over the years. I really like Volume. But also it's weird because it's like I haven't played a Mike Biffle game in a while because he made John Wick Hex. I'm not a John Wick guy. He's made a load of Tron stuff recently.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not a
been a
Tron guy.
while.
So it's like he's kind of escaped me, but there was a point in time where his games, and they still do, mean a lot to me. And I'm really happy that a game like Thomas Was Alone existed because I think it's fantastic. I really do love and appreciate Thomas Was Alone. I still recommend Thomas Was Alone to people who haven't played it, who are like, I want to play an indie game. I'm like, you should play Thomas Was Alone. It's pretty good. You can usually get it for about $1 these days, so you should play it if you haven't. It's pretty fantastic. Anyway, from a year of indies to a year of saying goodbye to a generation of consoles. 2013 was
Yeah.
the end of the 7th generation of consoles. I know what you guys are thinking. Hey, Ethan, you forgot about the Wii U. It started in 2012, and so did the industry. So we're going to just move on from that.
Yeah.
2013, big year. Big year.
Yeah,
You've
it
got
was.
games like The Last of Us. You've got games like BioShock Infinite. Two games that I can safely say are not going to be on this list just because I know us a bit
Yeah.
too well. But
Yeah, 2 games where Troy Baker escorts a girl across dangerous circumstances.
yeah, you know,
Yeah. But yeah, my pick for this year was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
interesting.
Yeah, another belter from Platinum there. Metal Gear Rising is one of those ones that, you know, it. I played it at the time, r- liked it well enough. It's a game of highs and lows, where the highs are fantastic in ways that people who are familiar with it will never forget, and lows in ways that are, you know, very frustrating when you're, in the thick of it, but easy to forget when you have time away from it, I think. Um, and it's one of those things where, I played it, liked it well enough, never really went back until like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
did the internet just kind of caught the Metal Gear Rising fever for some reason. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know
totally.
what, let's play it again. And it was so much fun to go through that game again, like being on the other side of so many other games. Because at the time, Metal Gear Rising was one of the harder games I had played up to that point in my
Hmm.
life, just because of like parrying was something that was kind of required to you know, succeed. And if I was always a dodge person
Totally.
and still mostly am. Uh, but yeah, being on so playing it another time on the other side of things like, playing Bloodborne or Cuphead, all these other like comically challenging games to according to so many other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um it was fun to, play it with a new lease on playing it more like I was playing Bayonetta or Devil May Cry at that point, the whole time instead of just when I was facing off against yeah, the lesser enemies and all that.
Yeah, 100%. I sometimes feel like, Metal Gear Revengeance. It's almost, there's a lot of there's so many memes and there's so many funny moments in that game. And I often think that the internet sometimes forgets that there's also a very good game behind it. Yes, there's some incredibly cheesy and corny and funny cutscenes and lines in that video game, but also just the gameplay itself is so damn fun to play that it's got that platinum magic. It does have that
Yeah,
platinum magic to it.
like the Zandatsu, which is the move where you do the when you're in the slow motion like blade cutting thing, you'll like pull out their spines and crush it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how you heal. That's one
Mhm.
of the coolest like execution type things you can do in a game. Like I talked about Shinobi last week and that execution move. Doing that so much reminded me of Metal Gear Revengeance just because of the stylish pizzazz that it had.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a great little game. I love it. I've never finished it. Um, it was way too hard. Like my dad
Yeah,
had
yeah.
all the Metal Gear
That's fair.
games when I was younger, and I dabble with them a little bit. Like I'd never play more than like the first level or whatever because they weren't. And I remember playing that game, getting, oh, this is fun. But then I got to like the first boss, and I was like, no, 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 too hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm good,
Yeah.
but watching people play it, I have a lot of respect for Platinum. I don't necessarily always jive with their video games, but I have a lot of respect for them when they're good. Um,
Yeah.
which especially in the 2010s, a lot more hits than misses for Platinum. There's some good stuff from Platinum games in the 2010s.
Yeah, especially in like the first half of the decade. Platinum was on it.
100%, 100%. Uh, my pick for 2013 is a franchise that came up last time. It's interesting because there's so many good games from 2013. I could talk about so many good games from 2013. I could talk about Rayman Legends, which is, one of my favorite 2D platformers of all time. I love just the meshing of the UbiArt engine with an incredible soundtrack and just a really fun video game. They made Rayman Legends into an extremely replayable 2D platformer, which for a lot of 2D platformers is a very tough challenge. Um, I could talk about that. Like I say, I could talk about how even though I don't love The Last of Us as much as everybody else, I can definitely say that The Last of Us definitely changed gaming in a way that very few video games tend to do. I can talk about how much I actually really do like BioShock Infinite, even though that's a controversial take in the big 2025. I still really like BioShock Infinite. I think it's really good. I think people are harsh to it. Does the ending
I
kind of
think yeah,
suck?
I think
Yeah.
people are too hard on it too, to be
The
honest. Like
ending's
the
kind of
ending's
lame,
weird,
but
but I think relatively speaking, it's a really cool thematic opposite to the first game.
100%. I love Columbia, and I think that, the level design in that game is so fun. It's such a fun game to play. And like I say, the polar opposite of BioShock in some of the best ways. I think it is fantastic. The game I'm going to go for is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I love Black Flag. I think
Ahoy.
it is one of the best Assassin's Creed games by far. And the reason I picked it, Hunter, was because, again, we're talking about this transitionary period, and this is like the last Assassin's Creed game that I loved. like properly loved.
It's
I adored Black Flag. I think it's
it's the last one
fantastic.
that was good.
True. I think there's things to like enough for Assassin's Creed. I think Assassin's Creed Unity, if it were actually released in a good fashion, would have been pretty good. I think Syndicate. There's a lot to like about Syndicate as well. And the modern
Yeah,
RPGs, there's bits and pieces to like, but I've never truly loved Assassin's Creed since 2013. And the reason for it is because Black Flag is the best Dawn Pirate game that has ever been made. I'm sorry, Sea of Thieves. Move over.
you just
You just
you
don't
don't
have
got
the
Edward
source.
Kenway.
You just don't have the source. I love an Assassin's Creed game where the protagonist isn't an assassin for 90% of it, who literally just went, hey, that guy's got some cool clothes, yoink, and just nicked them. And then you spend
Ah.
half the game with a bunch of assassins going, hey, give us our clothes back. And he's like, nah, I'm good. They're mine now. The Chad that is. But what I love about it is fantastic gameplay. It kind of, but it's the story of Assassin's Creed 4 that surprises me the most because it is such a heartfelt story. It is
Yeah,
a gut
I
punch.
when I played it, well, the what was it, last year I played it, you know, and I wasn't expecting to feel the way I did by when I got to the end of it, where I was like,
Yeah,
like midway through, I was like, Edward is a really solid protagonist for sure, and I really like all of the other people, but I just kind of didn't really. Assassin's Creed is really good at making you forget about that pesky historical
hmm
fact sometimes
yeah, 100%.
to interfere with your stories there. But it's this really cool story of this guy chasing after this. It's like he's chasing this ghost of not being good enough
Yeah,
to the
100%.
point of self-destructing.
100%. He is running away from a life that he couldn't lead and is constantly chasing a longing and a happiness that he cannot obtain, that he just, for better or worse, he's chasing this dream that is never going to become a reality. And I think it is incredible. I think Edward he's up there with Ezio for me. He is like the strongest protagonist in Assassin's Creed, right next to Ezio. It's like him and Edward are 1 and 2, and it's not even close. The rest of the list is like
Yeah,
a
no
football
shot.
field away. Um, they're gonna ruin it in the remake. I know they are, but I want to give it its
Oh,
flowers now
probably.
because
Oh,
it's a fantastic game. I adore it.
God.
It feels
That ending
like
song is a throat punch.
yeah, it feels like a good kind of stopgap of where PS4 started and the end of that PS3 generation. It's a good stopgap game of the old Assassin's Creed. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
2014, the first full year of the Xbone and the PS4.
Yeah,
This is how you share video games
sure is. Oh,
as you pass the video game metaphorically from one person to another. Um, what did you
yeah.
pick for 2014?
My, my pick for 2014, surprised a little, I'm sure. Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, good. Here we go again, everybody. Get your sleeping caps on. He's on about it again.
Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition. It wasn't the first PlayStation 4 game I played. I had hands on uh Infamous Second Son over the summer while I was hanging out at my
Banger of a
brother's
game.
apartment.
Banger of a game.
Yeah, good game. And also played The Evil Within, you know, during the the previous October there. But uh Dragon Age Inquisition was one where I was it was another one where I wasn't expecting to get to play it really until later, but my brother got it because he also played the uh first two, and I just kind of my first playthrough of the game happened pretty much as I was going over to hang out with him, like the Thanksgiving break for school was like the next week
hmm
after the game came out. And I played nearly up through half of the game, uh, maybe over half of the game in just that little space of time, really quickly. And this was all without like my previous game's continuity either. as far as all the choices and stuff. That was all just from a blank world state, which was weird and alien. As far as, well, what do you mean? What do you mean that this person didn't go here? But you know, when I got my own PlayStation 4, first thing I did was fire up on my own decisions and all of that.
Yeah, I miss that. That's one of the things I do miss, having played Dispatch recently and just Dispatch is the first choice-based narrative game that I have played in a decade where your choices actually mattered. And I think that's why it's so good, is I think Dispatch is so good because your choices actually matter. And I miss that era of the mid to late 360 to early PS4 generation of having sequels and having trilogies that all come out in a reasonable amount of time that they can transfer the save and choices over. I really miss that. There's something special. Like, that's the reason Mass Effect did so well, is because that wasn't
Yeah,
just Shepard, that was your Shepard. It's,
yeah.
Dragon Age
It was the
works
world
because
that
it's
you
your world
built.
that you've built, and it's something I really miss, It's like we sit here now and it's like,
Mm.
could you imagine, Hunter, a world where the Final Fantasy VII remake, it comes out and you sit there and it all comes out in the span of, 5 years instead of the close to 7 or 8 that it's going to take us. And you just sit there and it's like, oh yeah, the choices you make in 7 Remake go into 7 Rebirth, that go into 7 Reunion or whatever it's called. It's just like, that'd be so sick, but games take that long nowadays that no one's gonna go, oh, we better have a consistent save, because you won't remember what bloody happened because you played it half your life ago. So it's just like, it's such a kind of novel concept for that era of gaming that I miss, man. I do miss it. I wish more games did it.
Yeah, I wish it was like feasible for games to actually come out in a time frame that, made it
Possible.
possible.
Yeah, yeah. 100%. 100%. But no. I know you love Dragon Age Inquisition. And I think it's it's a great game. It's not for me. I'm not a huge fantasy person, but I have there's a friend that I know that does like fantasy stuff, and I did tell him, I was like, put Dragon Age Inquisition in your backlog eventually. You probably already own it, because it's been cheap that many times. And if not, it's
Yeah,
probably
it's
it's
been
probably worth your
sub
time.
$10 a lot. Like for a lot of the early generation, it was one that I was just recommending to people who would be like, "Yo, I got a PlayStation 4 recently. What should I play on it?" I'd be like, "Yeah, go with this. It's pretty good."
Hell yeah. Uh, I keep mine pretty short and sweet. There's plenty of games, like you say. Infamous is one for 2014 that I could have picked. Second Son, a game like BioShock Infinite, which I think didn't get its fair shake because, my goodness, I love Second Son. I think it's fantastic.
Oh,
Um,
it's a real good one.
my pick for 2014 though is a game that I didn't play until 2015, I believe. Was it 2015? No, it was 2014. I did play it in 2014. Mario Kart 8. The original, not the deluxe, not the Booster Cores Deluxe Pass for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack plus family plus whatever. But the original Mario Kart 8. And it's because I didn't get to play Mario Kart as a kid. I didn't. Like, my only experience of Mario Kart was DS download playing Mario Kart DS whenever I would go to places like, I would, for those of you who don't know, I did a lot of acting when I was a kid. So whenever I went to auditions or whenever I went to training in the lunch breaks or whatever, if somebody had Mario Kart or Mario Party, that's what we would do. If, um, I went to a sporting event or something like that, that's what you do. You just play Mario Kart. Like, that's the only time I ever played Mario Kart was through DS download play. And then I played Mario Kart 7 on 3DS and I wasn't that huge on it. But when I got Mario Kart 8, it's like that was the first time I could ever get addicted to a Mario Kart game. And it's just like that game's like dopamine. Like, it just is. You can just play Mario Kart Online, Mario Kart 8 online for just like 2, 3, 4 hours at a time and just have a great time with it. The soundtrack's incredible. It's still one of the best looking games of all time. Mario Kart World's the biggest fumble in the blooming planet because, my goodness, how can you make a game like Mario Kart 8 literally ride its coattails for almost for a decade, basically, and then go, we'll make a subpar sequel that is not as good. And I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that sucks. But Mario Kart is fantastic. I love it. If you want to know what my favorite tracks are, I'm a big fan of the DLC track Wild Woods. I think that is a banger of a track. The F-Zero tracks, incredible, obviously. And I'll also give a special shout out to Mount Wario, banger, DK Jungle from 3DS. Absolutely legendary track right there. And ooh, I do like Electrodome as well. I could just list off half the and Dolphin Shoals and Sunshine Airport. We can just talk all about. We could literally list the whole damn track list because the only map that's garbage in that game is Neo Bowser City, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only one, and it's pretty poopy. Anyway, Hunter, you back with me? No?
Yeah.
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 If you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, if I sometimes go on a bit of a little tangent like that, where I list my 10 favorite Mario Kart 8 tracks, it's because for some reason Hunter's internet today, ladies and gentlemen, bit poopy.
It's just
It's in the
cursed.
void. It's cursed.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have got the gift of yapping, so I can
Yeah.
yap all the dude all day.
I heard you right at the start of that favorite tracks business. I was gonna chime in and say the two F-Zero tracks were ones that I enjoyed.
Don't worry, I already got it. Those were number 2 and 3. Don't you worry about it. I got it. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. They're bangers. Like I said, the only bad track in that entire game that isn't in the booster course pass because I did not play that garbage. Neo Bowser City. Poop. Why bring it back when it was bad in 3DS? Get it out of here. Out of my house. We do not respect Neo Bowser City in this household, ladies and gentlemen. 2015, Hunter. How you feeling about 2015?
2015. This feels like when the generation started to get rolling a little bit.
Yeah,
As far
totally.
as going from PS4 into the future there. And I would say that one of the first games to make it feel that way, would be Bloodborne.
See, this is why I didn't even bother putting it on mine because I was like, yeah, 2015. He's got the Bloodborne. Don't you worry about it.
It's funny too because this topic for I don't think I went through this at the beginning. The topic I did a video doing this 6 years ago, and I've been deliberately avoiding choices I made as entries in that video for this show.
Totally.
And if I had played Bloodborne at the time, it definitely would have been in there. I just didn't play Bloodborne until substantially later.
Yeah, I do. That's what I have tried to. There are a couple like Red Dead where it's too iconic and too much of a part of my life for me to ignore it. It would feel wrong to ignore it. But I am trying to sit here and go, for example, we'll get to mine in a little bit. I think a lot of people will be expecting me to say Arkham Knight for 2015. I haven't because I feel like I've talked about that game enough and it's fantastic. So, whereas Bloodborne, literally, we both played in the past half a decade, really. It's like, we didn't even play it really in the 2010s, did we? Did you play it in the 2010s? I can't remember when you played it.
No, I played it when I got my PlayStation 5.
That's what I thought. I thought it was during podcast.
I started at the beginning of it, took a break to play Persona Strikers, came back and finished it.
Hell yeah.
Was the way that went. And
I believe that's the canon
God,
route.
was...
I believe that's the canon route. I think they do tell you right after you've beaten Mikolash to stop playing and play the whole of P5S. I think that's how that works. Could be wrong.
But no, Bloodborne's become just inescapable in the past 4 weeks too. I think it was the third time it's been mentioned.
Bro, I jokingly said we mentioned it once a year. We've now mentioned it 4 times in a row. I think this is it. I think this is where we have to draw the line.
I think this is the last time it should be brought up, unless we're having a laugh anymore. But yeah, as we've mentioned in any of the previous episodes, if you've been watching, it's just really solid goth atmosphere. Go out, hunt monsters. It takes a hard right turn into Eldritch Terror. And it just doesn't stop being interesting while you do it.
Totally. Yeah. It's a magic game. It's one of those games where it's like, I tried to play Bloodborne 3 times, I think. And it's like I tried to
Yeah.
play it in like 2017. I tried to play it in 2020 when it was a part of the PS Plus collection. And then I finally gave it a third and final try in 2022. And that was when it finally clicked. That was when it was like, oh, I get the Bloodborne magic. I get the FromSoft
If
kind
Hunter
of
can do it, anyone can.
dude, that's all you kind of need. And I don't say that as if to be like, I'm a bit of a competitive person. And what I mean by that is I love me a competitive game. Of course I do. But it is one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's like I'll be in a group chat and someone will play one of those stupid little mini games that you can play and they'll post the score. And I'll literally sit in
Yeah.
my bed for 3 hours trying to beat it. Just so I can be like, better than you, mate. Doesn't matter. It took you one try for me. You did that for one try for fun. I did it 20 times for sport. And so it's just like, when it's like, when you were like, oh, I really like Bloodborne, or, I think was it Kyle? Kyle had also started playing Bloodborne. I'm just like,
No, you played it before
yeah, I
Kyle.
played it
He
before
got
Kyle.
to it at the end of the year.
Oh no, it was my friend Ed. It was I've got, one of my IRL friends called, he was playing up through all the Dark Souls games. And he had beaten Bloodborne. And I was like, if he can beat Bloodborne, I can beat Bloodborne. So that's when it just became the strat of it. It was just like time to swag on these fuckers, like it was. Here we go. And there's something about that gameplay loop where it's just so darn addicting. Where it's like, yeah, I was terrible,
Until you're not,
until
and
you're
then it
not.
becomes this other just great little exercise, and it feels really good to suddenly be good at that game.
Yeah, I think the beauty of FromSoft games is that no two people's experiences are the same. And what I mean by that is if I say to you, Hunter, I'm like, who's your nemesis in that game? And you can come back to me and you can go, oh, I mean, go for it. Who was your nemesis in that game when it comes to
Oh,
bosses?
dude, playing tag with Mika Lash was my least favorite thing. Like, he got me with that stupid laser magic thing like twice. I had to redo the fight because of that.
Yeah, 100%. Or it's like for me, it's just like, you think of all these hard bosses where it's like Orphan of Kos I somehow did on my first try, which I still believe it's a fluke to this day, but it is one of my proudest gamer moments. Is one of the hardest bosses in gaming for a lot of people. I just walked
Yeah,
up,
according to the
mollywopped
internet.
him, and just walked away because it was very funny.
I didn't do it first try. I had like half an hour of trying, but that was still way easier than I was expecting it to be from the
Yeah,
way everyone was
100%.
picking him up.
100%. But then you sit there and you go, oh, look at him showing off. And then I'm like, but when it comes to the Backstreet Boys in the forest, dude, where it's like the
Oh
hooded
yeah.
guys, the three, for some reason, that just absolutely did my brain in. And it's like, for a lot of people, that's an easy fight. And for me,
Yeah.
it's just like, did not compute.
Martyr Logarius and the Canehurst Castle had my number for like an entire half a night,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Vicar Amelia gave me a little bit of a challenge. Ludwig from the DLC, it was a bit of a, that was my toughest one,
The
probably.
Lawrence from the DLC was my hardest fight
Oh,
for
yeah,
the DLC
true.
because I don't know. You get halfway through and he just starts crawling around and bleeding lava everywhere. I didn't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, yeah. But I love that about FromSoft games, and I love that about Bloodborne. Bloodborne is just like one of those things. Is you know 2015. You can also talk about I could have also talked about Black Ops 3 because I love Black Ops 3 zombies. It's like my favorite zombies X co-op mode of all time. Like I think it's fantastic, and that really leaned into like the eldritch horror of the Cthulhu and all of that kind of weird monstrosities. And Bloodborne is right in that alley as well, where it's just like I love that kind of stuff. The blood nightmare, ghouly, creepy stuff. Love it. I think it's fantastic.
Burger.
Bergenworth. Um, it just works for me. And it's like I love that people love Elden Ring. It didn't click with me the same way because I just love the darkness and the nightmares and the blood and the weird creepy spiders. And that's okay. What a game. What a game.
Yeah.
Like I say, this is a hard one, hard year. I could have, could have chose Black Ops 3 just for the zombies mode and the multiplayer. Also fantastic. Could have picked Arkham Knight because it was for me, that's the first true next gen game because I looked at it and I was like, how have they done this? How have they made this? How have they done it? Like
Yeah.
just a couple of years ago, literally 2 years before that, Arkham Origins. Not even 2 years because it was like summer 2015. So it was like a year and a half between Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight. And you look at those two together, and Arkham Origins, not an ugly looking game. But
No, it's pretty solid looking.
you just look at those two and you're like, it's like, that is a generational leap. Like, that is like incredible. Batman Arkham Knight, still to this day, I played it earlier this year on PC, and I'm like, still like one of the best looking games of all time. How did they do it? Fantastic. What a game. Um, Game I picked though is Broken Age, another indie game. Double Fine, small little Double Fine project, Kickstarter. And the reason I picked this one, Hunter, is for me it defined the 2010s because I wanted to get a mention in here of the Kickstarter bubble. The idea of these
Oh yeah.
crowd-funded video games coming out. Because technically people can go, actually, Act 1 of Broken Age was 2014. And I'm like, I played it when it was finished. Get in the bin. It was done in 2015. Thank
Yeah.
you for your time. But I wanted to get it across because there were so many great games that came out of this crowdfunding era, you know? You had Shovel Knight, you had Broken Age. You had these games that, you know,
Hollow Knight a few years
Hollow
later.
Knight. You had these games where people were basically like, "Hey, adventure games are dead. You want to support us and to maybe bring this back and maybe make it a success?" And people were like, "Yeah, we do." And it was everything a success? No. You know, you have for every Shovel Knight, you had a mighty number 9. But and you know, for some people, Broken Age was a bit of a disappointment. Some people really didn't like how Broken Age turned out. I, for one, love Broken Age. I think it's fantastic. I think it's the most underrated Double Fine game. It's one of my favorites. I just think the writing it's some of Tim Schafer's best work. I really love the characters in the game. I think it's fantastic. Um, the little twist and stuff in it. It's just a very clever game. It's a very clever game.
Yeah.
And I think you have that, you know, you have that Kickstarter energy on top of it. And also the documentary was that they made, Double Fine Adventure, one of my favorite pieces of media when it comes to like I feel like before anybody can have an opinion on the video games industry, I think you need to watch it. Like I'm like, go and actually see a
Yeah.
proper documentary of that and Psych Odyssey. Go and actually see how video games are made before you actually have an opinion on how video games are made. Um, I just think all of it is just a perfect bubble to encapsulate that year and just that kind of era of video games. And I think it's great. I love Broken Age. I think if you're a fan of stuff like Grim Fandango and the old kind of point and clicks, I think it's a really fun one. It's got a great voice cast as well. Elijah Wood, Jack Black,
Oh yeah.
fantastic. Love it.
Yeah, I remember getting it, or at least I don't remember if it came out in parts like in a way where PlayStation Plus gave me access to at least some of it. I didn't get that far
All
in
of it.
it, I think. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't remember. I didn't get that far in it, but I did remember being, I can recall back to like, the nah, I don't want to stab that. Just the goofy stuff that he says when you put things together in that game is funny.
Oh, 100%. I love that they gave you, like you say, they gave you the spoon at the start, and they gave every single clickable object and every single interaction, they gave the spoon a voice line for. Like, you know, Spoon doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to stab that. I don't want to eat that. I don't think that goes there. It's just like, it's just, I love it. It's, and the art style, Bagel, the lead artist on it, he's just got such a unique art style, and it's like it's a storybook come to life, and I love that. I think it's a fantastic game. You should play it if you haven't already. It's pretty great. It's literally everywhere. It's on Switch, it's on PlayStation, it's on PC, it's everywhere. It's on Xbox. It's probably on Game Pass because Double Fine's owned by Microsoft. It's everywhere. Go play it.
Yeah, that would check out.
It's fantastic. Um, and go watch the documentary if you haven't. It's free on YouTube. It's brilliant. It genuinely is. Psych Odyssey is just as good, if not better. And every time that I bring it up on the podcast, it makes me want to do a rewatch. It's that good. I probably have rewatched both of them, probably. Well, Psych Odyssey twice, and I think Double Fine Adventure probably about 5 or 6 times. I own it on Blu-ray. That's how weird I am. I own both of them on Blu-ray. It's good stuff. 2016. My gosh, we're getting there.
The year that the world started unraveling.
Oh dear, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah,
pick?
you know, 2016 is a funny year as far as video games in general goes, I think, just because I feel like it's one of the ones that's more, for me, it was more tame as far as the new stuff wasn't, you know, super striking for me at the
Yeah,
time.
I can see that.
Yeah. But anyway, my pick for this year is Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender.
Hmm.
you know, I didn't play it until a couple years later, but I really liked this game when I did play it. I feel like we've mentioned Coffee Talk on here more often than I bring this game up, and
Totally.
my interest in Coffee Talk was born from it pretty much being like Valhalla, but with coffee instead of alcohol
Yeah,
and
yeah,
in a different setting. And
totally.
so Valhalla's, you're serving people alcohol, listening to their problems in this like very crummy cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
Uh, Jill, the bartender you play as, is one of the best instances of like an everyman character
Hmm.
who isn't boring compared to like all the wacky people you come across. Because that's like a trap I think that people fall into with that kind of thing. Like
Hmm.
happens in Danganronpa all the time. Everyone else is super weird. Your main character is just this lame nobody.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the definition.
Jill doesn't have that problem. They make her interesting in her own right in a way that like part of her arc that you experience in the story really resonated with me. Like when I played it, I was working at a job that was making me miserable, and
Hmm.
it didn't. I didn't quit my job because of Valhalla, but it got the wheels turning, and eventually I quit like a month later.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. This is actually surprisingly, I have not played this game. It's one that has been on my wish list on my PlayStation account. I think since the PS5 made wish lists a thing, it has just sat there. I'll get to it eventually. Is what I say. Maybe one day I'll actually live up to that. But I love a comfy game. I think there's sometimes all you want to do is just sit and talk. Like, and that's it's a cool thing. That's what I love about video games, and it's like video games truly did open up this decade when we're talking about stuff like Thomas Was Alone, when we're talking about stuff like, you know, all the multiplayer stuff that came out during this generation. There's so much like variety.
Yeah,
Among Us was technically in 2018. You know what I mean? Where it's like
yeah, it's
the
true.
the
The,
variety.
the advent of like walking simulators
Holy dude, Stanley
was,
Parable. I could have talked about the
yeah,
Stanley
Stanley
Parable today.
Parable. Oh, that's a
Um,
good one.
It is a good one, dude. Well, you know what you mean when you're like, oh damn, maybe I should go back. Maybe I should sack something off and put Stanley Parable because what a
Yeah,
game,
I
man!
know, right?
What a game.
uh,
Sorry, Assassin's Creed 4. Goodbye. But
yeah,
yeah,
I do feel like you've got a point as far as video games became like became way less afraid to, they were less afraid of all the people screaming their video games in all caps, and they
yeah,
just
yeah.
did their own thing.
Oh, and trust me, it wasn't that. It was not the best of times. This is 2010s rife with plenty of kind of vitriol and hatred. It was in the midst of the Gamergate situation and all that jazz. Was not plain sailing to say the least. But I do think there was a blossoming of genres and kind of a widening of horizons when it came to video games and what could be seen as video. I mean, Journey. We didn't even mention Journey. You can mention Journey again as one of those defining
Yeah.
games. Um, yeah, totally. So much stuff. My pick, unfortunately, is a lot more normie for that. You know, Again, 2016, not a huge year for me, really, in terms of video games. It's like there's stuff that I like that came out in 2016 for sure. But you know, I love Uncharted 4. I think Uncharted 4 is fantastic. It's my favorite Uncharted game. There's no doubt about it. But for me, like Overwatch it was the multiplayer game I got. Like that's the thing is, these games they come in waves. You have Fortnite, you have Among Us, you had more recently you had stuff like Arc Raiders and stuff like that, where it's like there's always a trending game. There's always a trending multiplayer game that
Yeah.
comes out, and all 5 people that have 2 brain cells go on Twitch, stream it to their 3,000 fans and go, "Hey, this should be game of the year because I don't play any video games and I like multiplayer." And I'm like, "That's cool. Have you heard of this category called best
Mhm.
multiplayer game? Should win that. It's pretty sick." Um, but Overwatch just did get me. I bought it in
You
December.
got everyone
It
for
got
the most
everyone,
part
dude.
that year.
It got everybody. I bought it. It wasn't just yeah. I bought it in December 2016. Played it by myself for a couple of for like 10 hours. I was like, this game's fun, but it's not doing anything for me. I'm not playing with friends. And then the summer of 2017, my friends were bored. We didn't really have anything to play, and I just on a whim, I was just like, this is it. This is the time to pitch Overwatch. So I was like, yeah, we all need to play this game called Overwatch. This was about April, I think, of the year of 2017. And my friends were like, we don't want to play that. It's all cartoony and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, we're going to play it. And it genuinely became an addiction for about 2 years of my life, like from 2017 through 2019, basically just before COVID, basically. Um, we played Overwatch like every night, every weekend. Like that was the video game to play. And I will happily say to you that it's some of my favorite gaming moments of all time. I love Overwatch. I think it's a fantastic game. Blizzard is one of those companies where when they're not crunching their employees and they're not in the news for doing weird and sometimes frankly terrible things, they make some special games. They really make some special games, you know?
Mm.
I feel like everyone in a certain generation has a WoW story, or people have a story about Hearthstone, or they have a story about how they absolutely adored StarCraft, or how they love Diablo. And for me, the Blizzard game that is my Blizzard game, I feel like everybody has a Blizzard game. And for me, that's Overwatch. And it always will be Overwatch. And it's just that magic. Jeff Kaplan and Team 4, when they made Overwatch, they just made a world that people wanted to exist in. Like, people wanted. Every time there was a cinematic, millions of views, everybody was straight to it. It's like, it's a universe. It's a futuristic setting that isn't doom and gloom, that actually has a sliver of hope for humanity and sees the goodness in people. It just felt like the right game at the right time. And yeah, I just think it's fantastic. It's a great game. It's good. I don't know. When Overwatch was on top, I felt like it was good. When Fortnite's still on top, I sit there and I go, bro, I don't like. Why do people like Fortnite? It's so boring. Like that's my problem. It's like
Yeah.
I can understand it when it's a good game. You know what I mean? When it's a good game, I'm like, that's
The
cool.
thing with Fortnite that's, like, upsetting is that it's like claim to appeal is that it just has a million things that
It's IP the video
stupid
game.
kids like.
Yeah, it's IP the video
It's
game, bro. Do you want the puppy
it's
playtime skin gamers? Like that's what it
yeah, it's like
is.
Ready Player One.
That's yeah. Um, but no, I think Overwatch is fantastic. And hey, if you're like, hey, I never played Overwatch, should I play Overwatch 2? And the answer to that is you can if you want, actually. I feel like Overwatch is in a bit of a renaissance at the moment, especially since Marvel Rivals came out. They've been
Yeah.
going ham, releasing a ton of content. If I had free time, I would probably get back into it, but I don't. So I will stick to playing single player games for now, and a tiny bit of Call of Duty when I'm forced to. But
It's
yeah.
amazing what a little bit of competition will do for you sometimes.
Truly, I also think it's funny what having a having a business or a company get off your back does for a video game. I feel like
Uh,
Team 4 have been allowed to kind of recapture that magic a little bit to explore and make changes with Overwatch, and I think it's done them a hell of a lot of favors. Uh, anyway, 2017. This one should be pretty easy.
Year of all years, huh?
Yeah, quite possibly my favorite year of video games of all time.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned with the whole video stipulation thing before, I'm not picking Breath of the Wild because of that.
Le
Uh,
Gasp.
so I'm just gonna pick one of the other, half a dozen excellent games that came out this year, and I'm gonna roll with Nier Automata
Knew
for
it.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. Go
Uh,
on. No, don't just sit there in
yeah.
silence. It's bad for
y-
podcasts, Hunter, when you sit in silence. Someone will have gone, has my download failed? Where's the rest of the
Yeah,
podcast? He's
yeah.
been silent for 2
Nier
seconds.
Nier
I'm gonna move over.
Automata is a really just captivating game as far as the feeling it brings, where it's got this, you know, ethereal melancholy just permeating everything you do in a way
Mhm.
that, you know, you wouldn't expect, especially when the internet's all like, "Oh, just look at 2B,
Bro,
drool."
that's all I knew is, hey, if you try and shove the camera under her dress, she will drop kick you. That's all I knew. It was like, you know what I mean? Like that's all I knew is she get angry. And I'm like, cool. What is that? Why people like this video game? Is that it? Is that the
And I'm
reason?
sure that's why some people like it, but it's,
Definitely.
clearly
It's not a
not the reason
minority.
that I did.
It's not a
Yeah.
minority.
But no, and on top of the, like, excellent story that they tell in this game, it's still a really gratifying, like, action hack and slash game on top of that,
Mhm.
where, you know, the witch time dodge from Bayonetta makes its appearance yet again here, and in its own way with the way you stack out your stats and whatnot in this game. All the extra endings were a lot of fun to just. I didn't make it a point to try and get
Yeah,
any
yeah.
that weren't the five that are the like real story route, but I would come across some that
Mhm.
were just funny, and it just is illustrates the weirdness that is present in this game. Like I just removed the OS chip because I thought it would be funny to see what happened,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I've
I
done the
got an
same thing.
ending
Yeah.
for it. And yeah, and like
Yeah.
Yoko Taro just exists in a different reality than the rest of us, and I like getting a peek into it.
He really does, man. I really hope that we find. I know I'm gonna say the words Nier 3, and I know that there's gonna be somebody that's like, actually, the mobile game is Nier 3. We're gonna call it Nier
Yeah,
3. Um, I really hope we get it. We get something from them soon. Nier Automata is one of those awkward games for me where I played a lot of 2019's video games, 2017's games in 2019, and
same.
unfortunately, I played another game that kind of changed my life a little bit just beforehand, and then I played Nier Automata, and it's like when you play in your mind what is an 11 out of 10 video game, and then you play a 10 out of 10 video game, it's like it was just one of those unfortunate things where it was like bridesmaid never always the bridesmaid never the bride, where I was just like, I want to go back and give it a second chance because I do think there's a brilliance to it. It's an extremely depressing game. It's a
Yeah,
extremely melancholy is the word that I would use to describe it. That is the word that I would give that game. But it's just, I think it's fantastic. Again, it's Platinum at their best in terms of gameplay. I think from a narrative point of view, it's an astounding achievement. And I just love, again, it's that sense of humor, it's that sense of kind of weirdness. And it's a video game ass video game. One of my favorite things about Nier Automata is that there's a trophy shop. And the reason that I love that is because they give you these trophies and you can do them legitimately. But I just love how it's almost a nudge at you to go, but if you're doing that, you're just doing it for the love of the game because trophies mean nothing because you can literally give me money to unlock it for you. And I just think that's
yeah,
genius because it is. It's like a little psychological assessment of yourself where it's like, yo, you gonna do this properly or are you gonna pay for it like a little bitch? And I'm like, I really love that because,
yeah,
people like myself at times have taken trophies so seriously and this game just goes, yeah, it's just a game, bro. It's just a game. Like, how do you feel about it? I think it's a fantastic little achievement. I think you can't talk about 2017 without mentioning Breath of the Wild. It is just one of those games, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's fantastic. One of the greatest games ever made. Um, the issue we have with 2017, Hunter, is all of the games, bar Nier Automata, have all come up in the past like 3 weeks of episodes because we've done like games that define us, and we've done,
yeah. I know it's goofy, isn't
So
it?
we've mentioned Breath of the Wild. So I've kind of put Breath of the Wild and Persona 5 here just because we've talked about these games to death. So I'm like, I don't have too much to say. So I'll just put them here and then we can go, yes, very confirmed, accurate list because they've said the games that we need to tick it off to be a legitimate list. Um,
Yeah, Persona 5, the first JRPG since Final Fantasy 7.
it's true. It's very much true. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is another one for me, where that is another one. But I mentioned it in my 10 games to get to know me video, which you can go check that out if you
One that
haven't.
I almost picked instead of Nier was Senua's Sacrifice.
Yeah, that's a fair
Uh,
point. That's a fair choice.
just as far as another one that I really like. It's in a similar way to like, it's a narrative throat punch, really sad game.
I could,
And
yeah,
I played it, at the perfect time for it to hit even harder for me, where if I had played it when it came out, I still would have really liked it, but because of when I played it, it is never going to leave my psyche.
yeah, 100%. I mean, there's so many games. This was the year of Switch One. I could literally, just list off video games to you right now, and just you would sit there and you go, oh yeah, when I say, hey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, fantastic game. Hollow Knight, as we mentioned earlier. Cuphead, Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey. I could talk about how much I think Super Mario Odyssey is one of the best 3D platformers ever made. Could do that quite easily. Um, it is just one of those years. It just is one of those years. 2017 is just the year for being a video game fan. It just was. You had to be there.
Yeah.
You just had to be there. But for me, my pick will always be Persona 5. Mainly because if somebody was to put a gun to my head and go pick for 2020, I'm like, I always say Persona 5 for 2017 just so I can say Final Fantasy 7 remake for 2020. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm a little sicko.
Yeah, that's
I'm better.
fair.
I'm better gaming, dude. I'm better gaming.
Final Fantasy 7 Remake, the first JRPG since Persona 5.
So true. So true. So true. They never miss. They never miss. But yeah, Persona 5, we've talked about it many a time. We talked about it just a couple of weeks ago if you want to check that out. For me, it's like I say, it's one of the best JRPGs I've ever played. It very much resonated with me a lot. One day I will make that video about it so I can just refer to it there. I can just I can send everybody a YouTube link and never talk about it ever again. But it's a very important game. I think it's brilliant. And if you've never played a JRPG in your life, that is the JRPG to play because it will probably convince you that they're all right. It works. It is like it's like a JRPG conversion method. Is you just slip a copy of Persona 5 to somebody and you go, I know it's anime, but just give it a couple of hours. You'll understand. You'll get the message. And then if they're like, hey, I don't want to play weeb stuff unless it's horny, then you slide them a copy of Nier Automata and you go, there you go. You know what I mean? There you go. You're one of those lot. You're one of the 30%.
And then after that, you slide them a Danganronpa just to really mess with them.
No. Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody ever passes you a copy of Danganronpa, know they are a bad
You might
friend.
have,
And
you might be able to take legal action.
true. Just know that they are a sicko, or they have something against you. The only person I've ever recommended Danganronpa I knew was a freak, so I was like, yeah, here you go, sicko, have your slop and enjoy it. Anyway, 2018.
Ah, 2018. This one was tough. Aside from Celeste, I'm like spoiled for choice, but when you take out the one, it's really hard to choose what the other one would be.
Totally.
So I think I'm gonna have to go with just. It's kind of a boring pick coming from. Well, maybe not so much for me, but like in general, God of War would
Wow, he
be my
went
pick.
there, dude. He went
You
there.
know?
Wow. Imagine. Imagine. Corey
But
Barlog's fist pump in the air right now, dude. He's fist pump in the air. He's still got it.
dude, for a little while, like in the absence of God of War for that time, I was like, because I had even played up to like Ascension, and I was like, oh, they shouldn't make another one of these for a while. And thankfully they didn't, because Ascension really felt like they were stretching to just like making things up to
Bomb in the
sell
barrel.
another
Yeah.
one. Yeah. And they took some time off. They evaluated the core of what you could do to make the game better. and made something new out of it in a way that I think really worked.
It's one of those. It's one of those games, right? It's like, here's the thing. I'll mention mine right now. I picked the other Sony game from that year. Mine's Marvel Spider-Man. If we're not counting Red Dead 2, because I did not want to put Red Dead 2 here. I just want to make this
Yeah.
clear to the audience listening that if you put me in a room and you're like, you can either have Red Dead 2 or you can have Spider-Man, I will be taking Spider-Man and Batista bombing him in the middle of Asgard. I want to make that abundantly clear. But yeah, I mean, I was sitting there, I was like, oh, like I appreciate Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm not a huge Smash Bros. Guy. And it's like, I was just thinking through what the games came out. There's plenty of great games in 2018. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, toss up between God of War and Spider-Man. And my reasoning behind it was I love the story of God of War, but when you're, the gameplay of Marvel Spider-Man. I'm just like, when I'm in a gameplay mood, it's just swinging around. That's the dopamine. It's like instant like dopamine hit is just swinging around New York City. It just is. It feels good. Whereas God of War
Yeah.
is fun, but once I've never picked up God of War 2018 since I beat God of War 2018. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Neither have I. It's definitely one of those games that part of my grading system after I beat it is how much I think of it later. And I've got the moments from that game, the one in the middle mostly,
yeah,
but
yeah.
other ones here and there that I think back to. And it's just really well done.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a phenomenal game. As someone who didn't have much of a history with God of War, I wasn't a God of War fan beforehand. I played 2018 solely because of the glowing reception it had when the reviews came out. I wasn't planning on picking it up. It was one of those games where I wasn't planning on picking it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually done really well. I'm gonna give it a go." You didn't have to be a God of War fan to pick up God of War 2018 and enjoy it. You just didn't. As someone completely
No.
new to it, I didn't feel like I needed to know Kratos' backstory. I didn't feel like I needed to know what had happened. I just needed to know he was an angry man, and now he is in a different mythology, and he has a son, and there we go. Good to go. Yeah, it's a really satisfying game, Like, I'm sitting there and I'm talking about dopamine and Marvel Spider-Man, but there's a real satisfying hook to God of War's combat. The axe, the Leviathan axe, throwing the Leviathan axe and the force of throwing it, and then the thud, the satisfying like kind of sound of ringing it back and just grabbing it is, again, it just does, it hits. The combat of God of War 2018, it does just hit. And yeah, I sit there and we've talked about Ragnarok, obviously, because Ragnarok came out while we were doing this podcast. And I do sit there and I'm like, yeah, I think I like Ragnarok more, but there's something about the original, there's something about that simplicity, there's something about the smaller scale story that I really appreciate about God of War 2018.
Yeah, for sure. It's the thing about God of War and God of War Ragnarok, just comparatively to the rest of, the other PlayStation IP around it. Something that'll always make me laugh is generation before I liked Horizon a little more than God of War, but then when we get to this one, I like God of War Ragnarok quite a bit more than Forbidden West. And I
Which is
would say that both of
interesting because
those
I
are
was the other way
marked
around.
improvements.
I always find this interesting about us because I was the other way around. Where it's like,
Yeah.
I liked God of War 2018 a little bit more than I liked Horizon. And I loved Forbidden West. I adore Forbidden West. And I still really like Ragnarok. But there was something about Forbidden West that actually just did hit that time. So I think it's interesting. And I don't think it's a critique of either game. It's just that both of those franchises are so strong that you can just have that
Yeah.
kind of change in opinion when you come around to the second time, which I think is, you know, pretty great. But yeah, I think God of War 2018 is fantastic. Marvel Spider-Man, I think the original, I think it's hard. It's a toss-up because Rocksteady is so darn good at making Batman games. But I think Marvel Spider-Man as a package might be the best superhero game ever made. It might be. that swinging, that
Yeah,
combat, that story. Oh, the story in Marvel Spider-Man 1. What a great little comic book. It feels like a comic book. Um,
it sure does.
I
Well,
think it does a great job of portraying a older Peter, um, with that already has a rogues gallery, is already struggling with life as it is, and it tells such a heartfelt story of him coming to terms with his powers and who he is. Uh, just all the Doc Ock stuff I think is fantastic.
you know, giving shine to a lesser known villain with Mr. Negative and making that their own, really.
Totally, I think Mr. Negative's fantastic. I think it's one of the highlights of the game, really. Yeah, it's fantastic. Um, yeah, it's a great game. I love it. Spider-Man 2 is also fun. It's not as good as Spider-Man 1 though. I think it's a safe place. I think we're all pretty comfortable in that assessment now. 2 years later.
You and I have been comfortable in that assessment since
Yeah, I
a few months
know.
after the
Yeah,
game came
yeah.
out.
We've all been. Well, dude, I was comfortable on it about 20 seconds after the game came out, dude, because I was like, but yeah, good games. Anyway, let's wrap it up with a little year called 2019, Hunter. What have we got? What's your final game? 2019.
2019 is a fun one because I feel like this is one that at the time people were saying, "Oh, it's weak." Blah, blah, blah. I feel like it's gotten more flowers in retrospect, though,
I
as
mean,
people look back on it.
I will still happily say that. I will still happily say that it was a bit of a it was a softer year. Especially I think the difference is there were still fantastic video games, don't get me wrong. But you just had the banger year of 2017, a monumental year for video games in 2017, and then you had 2018, which was smaller, but you still had Red Dead 2, God of War, like you had like these big, massive video games, and then 2019 came along, and it had a bunch of it had a bunch of brilliant video games, just nothing that like properly like just punched through the entire kind of media sphere, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, my pick is Devil May Cry 5.
Of course it is.
Yeah, yeah. No surprise to anyone here, but you know, a game that I had been waiting years for. I wanted years to just see hide or hair of this game before they announced it even, where
Mhm.
I'm sitting there like I will buying up the special editions of Ninja Theory's game and 4 just to feel something.
Just for the potential of
Year
a
yeah,
good
just
video
for the
game coming around the
potential.
corner.
Yeah. And then when it finally came, it did not disappoint. I've always been super impressed by how they managed to pull off so many things in this game. They
Mhm,
took Nero, who was, new character in 4. They managed to flesh out his moveset more to make him more fully realized in 5 in a way that, like, you watch the people pull off some crazy nonsense with him, the way they juggle around all of his arm loadouts and all of that. Uh, V was a change of pace from playing as Nero or Dante, and they knew that it was a more experimental thing, so they used him a little more sparingly.
mhm.
But I still had fun playing as him. I thought it was entertaining enough for when you have to. And then boldly enough, they didn't you don't even get to play as Dante until like halfway through, and it feels like a reward when you get there, not because Nero wasn't fun to play as, because he was really fun, but Dante just has, like, such a in-depth moveset in 5
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way that, like the way they managed to pull off so many things that you can do in a way that feels pretty intuitive is impressive. Like, all of his weapons have, like, a secondary mode that's easy to get in and out of. Uh, the Cerberus nunchucks are a great example of that, where the regular like combos or the ice nunchucks, if you hold it, it'll spit like electricity stuff at the enemies if you hold down all the attacks, and then like the sword master moves or all the fire staff things that it turns into. Like it's
Mhm.
just crazy the amount of things you can pull off in this game. And then also as far as like delivering on the story that they tell, it's a good capstone on the arc that they had been telling across all 5 games. It feels like they pulled together a through line through
Yeah, yeah.
the rest of them with it.
Yeah, it was. I'm still surprised that they've not done a 6 yet. It feels weird that they haven't even done. They have not even an announcement after it did so well critically and commercially. It's one of those ones where you just baffled, where it's like you hit a home run, and they were like,
I think the problem internally there is, after Itsuno was done, he went to go make Dragon's Dogma because he really wanted to make that, and then, he left.
yeah, yeah.
And so now it's kind of I bet they're probably trying to figure out who to put on and
Oh,
let them
I'm
do
sure
that.
they're working on it internally. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're working on
I
it.
wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, a remake of 1 in the works, especially now that Kamiya's, like, back
Yeah,
hanging out. I don't think he's gonna be, like, directing or anything, but I do think that,
he can do an
given
overseer. He can
whoever's
executive produce it or something like that.
yeah, you can have someone ask him, like, "Hey, this seem good?"
Yeah,
Kind of thing, just an advisory role.
but no, it was yeah, it was. It felt like it did feel like a return to form for DMC.
Yeah. It was a
Um,
moment for me and the rest of the fans. It was an onboarding for a lot of people into the hack and
oh
slash genre too,
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like, because, you know, years now, people like me and other psychos just mumbling about how great Devil May Cry is and people
yeah,
finally having an occasion to check it out.
totally. I mean, there was a load of stuff this year that kind of fed that. It was like the return of a lot of fan favorite franchises. Resident Evil 2 remake. Obviously, you'd had Resident Evil 7, which had been a smash hit, but 2 remake kind of blew up. Like
Yeah.
that
It
blew
was
up
like it
the
was like
franchise.
it's similar to, I would say, like, 7 in this metaphor would be Persona 4, and then 2 remake is Persona 5.
Yeah, yeah,
It was what kinda solidified Capcom as being
back.
back.
Yeah, totally. You had the return of Kingdom Hearts, which, hey, some people hate that game. I like Kingdom Hearts 3. I had a lot of fun with it. If I was picking games that we've talked about to death, which again I tried to pick, Death Stranding, obviously,
Yeah.
fantastic game. Control, brilliant. Sekiro, haven't played it yet, but
Neither am I.
it's Sekiro. I don't think I need to say anything else. Um, there were so many good games in 2019. I think, sleeper year, but so much good stuff. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel, one of the best remakes of a video game. Like, oh, what a game. Where's my sequel? Beanox. Balls in your court now.
It's coming soon.
Hey, we can dream. Um, my pick is Fire Emblem Three Houses. That's the one I've gone with, just because it's so damn good. It is. It's just like if you were, there's a lot. Hunter, I am a very needy boy. I need a lot of things from Nintendo. Like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I need you to give me Switch 2 editions of all the Xenoblade games. I need you to please make a 3D Mario. I need you to please just not make another Pikmin game. But I
I
feel,
need you to stop it with the Kirby.
yeah, true. But I feel like when we're talking about Ethan, if you had like, your genie wish, if you had like 3 Nintendo wishes, right? If you had a genie lamp, you had 3 Nintendo wishes. It genuinely would be. It would be like, please do a Switch 2 edition of um Xenoblade 2, because I think that game really needs it, and I think that'd be fantastic. Thank you, really appreciate it. I then my second wish at this point, because of seeing how Animal Crossing is being handled with a Switch 2 edition of that, my second wish would be, please make a new Smash game. Please do not do a Switch 2 edition of Ultimate, because I do not want that. And then my third and final wish would be, please do a remake of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Like that would be like,
An entire remake.
yeah, I just love it. I think it's
Ugh.
fantastic. And I think the biggest fault of Fire Emblem Three Houses is that it's stuck on the Switch. And what I mean by that is, you know, it's got the shoddy textures, it's got the fruit, the 2D fruit. It was a meme at the time, right? Where it's like, oh, those are good vegetables, dude. It's just like a JPEG of like the worst polygon apples you've ever seen in your life. And it's like, because I adore Fire Emblem Three Houses, it's got an incredible soundtrack, incredible characters. I love, I've mentioned it on the podcast before, I love the nuance in its storytelling, and I love how each side is very morally grey, and depending on whatever choices you make in that game, without spoiling it, you can get to the end and you feel like you've made the right choice, which is very hard in a game like this, because it's very easy in, say, a game like Infamous, where it's like, this is the good choice, this is the bad choice. And
Choice-based games are really bad at making it seem like every choice is the intended one.
100%. And I feel like Fire Emblem Three Houses, you have got a bunch of fans who picked one side, who think that anybody that picks the other is an absolute monster and they don't understand it. And the other side feels the exact same way. And I feel like that's how you know that they succeeded with their goals,
Yeah.
I think we might get a Switch 2 edition of it still. I think we might. I think with Fortune's Weave basically being a pseudo sequel, that gives us a higher chance of it happening. But I think it's a fantastic game. I do love Three Houses. I think it's brilliant. If you haven't played it, please do give it a try. It definitely is the Fire Emblem game from the Switch generation to play. Do not play Engage. It is awful. What you're thinking? Are you trying to figure out if there's a third Fire Emblem game?
I guess there would be Warriors, but that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that was the thing. Is like it feels like the 3DS, it came in threes with the Awakening, and then
Awakening, then Fates, and then the remake.
Yeah.
I'd also love a Fire Emblem Awakening remake. That'd be fantastic as well. I'd love that.
I would like that because, as someone who's yet to get into the series, that being apparently just the origin point for many fans, it would be, easy to get my hands on.
I think, like I say, I think Three Houses is... There's a lot of people that do love Three Houses, and I am one of them. I'm not a huge tactics fan, and I think it's brilliant. If you've been wanting to get into them, I think it's a great place to start because, it's on Switch. You can get it. It's pretty easily accessible right now. And hey, I'm looking forward to Fortune's Weave. I'm hoping that it lives up to Three Houses for me. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. We'll find out, I guess, next year. But hey, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. 20 games. 21, technically. From the 2010s. What are your favorite games of the decade? What is your favorite year? Mine is 2017, obviously.
Yeah.
But let us know. What are your favorite games from the decade? What have we missed? There's plenty of stuff that we've literally. You could say anything at this point. Like, oh, of course that came out. Of course. But hey, I think we're gonna leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if I can find the button, it's right here. All links are on screen. All right, now you can go follow us on Twitter or Blue Sky if you want to keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. Thank you for hanging out with me, Hunter, for the first hour and a half of my 28th year on this planet, I guess. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. It was an honor.
You're damn right it was. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
It's okay. Depending on when we record the next episode, it might be the same situation for me.
Hell yeah. Look forward to it. But yeah, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a bunch of first impressions. It's going to be a feast. We've got so much stuff. Kirby's out. I'll probably have been unfortunately exposed to the latest Call of Duty. There'll be all sorts of gubbins. We can probably talk about Dispatch in a bit more detail. We can do so much. We can talk about a load of stuff next week. It should be a fun time. Anyway, we'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us this week. We'll be back, same time, same place, next week for more. But hey, until then, have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.